What's up, Team Biolayne? Coach James here, and today I have a question for you guys. Do you do cardio before your weight training, after your weight training, or maybe you do it on a separate day from when you typically train? This is a great question, and I frequently get it from a lot of my clients, and the best way to answer it is first by starting with some basic physiology. Let's start with a molecule known as adenosine triphosphate, or simply ATP. This is an energy currency in your body that your cells use to perform basic physiological functions like physical movement or exercise. Your body has a limited storage of ATP, so it's in a constant cycle of breaking down ATP and rebuilding more ATP. During exercise, your body breaks down glycogen to produce more ATP. This is what allows you to continue exercising. But what exactly is glycogen? Well, glycogen is a fancy term used to describe the storage form of carbohydrates in your body. They're stored in the muscle and in the liver, but most of the glycogen that you store in your body is going to be within the muscle. And this makes sense because when you're exercising or doing aerobic activity, glycogen is right there and easy for the body to break down and create ATP to continue fueling your muscles for the sustained activity. Now, the extent of glycogen depletion is dependent on the intensity and the duration of your exercise. And it has been shown that fatigue is directly related to glycogen depletion. So as your glycogen stores are becoming depleted, that fatigue is gonna rise and essentially limits the intensity and the duration of your exercise. Now, when we have depleted muscle glycogen in the muscle cells, it's going to obviously impair our ability to train. This is because glycogen depletion can compromise the muscle's contractile abilities, which leads to muscular fatigue. So if you're starting a training session after doing an aerobic training session, you're going to have limited glycogen stores within your muscle. This is not only going to impair your training performance and strength, but it's also going to impair your training adaptation and recovery. So in case you're unclear about whether to do cardio before or after training, let me make it clear for you. You want to perform your training before doing cardio typically. That's an ideal situation. This is going to allow you to maximize your strength and performance in the gym and hopefully allow for more adaptation and better recovery from that training session. If you're starting your training session with limited glycogen stores, you're only starting yourself in the back of a race. So if you think about it as like a race car, being up front at the start line is ideal versus being way in the back and starting way in last place. So put yourself in an optimal starting position and perform resistance training first. But there are some exceptions. So let's say you're somebody who just likes to do cardio first thing in the morning, or maybe you even like to do your cardio before training. That is okay, and you can still make it work optimally. The only thing you're gonna wanna make sure you do is separate that cardio session in the morning and then resistance training by a few hours if you can. And if you can't, it's going to be very important that you get in some sort of carbohydrate meal or source of carbohydrates. If you're gonna be doing your cardio session and then immediately doing your resistance training, obviously that's not ideal and you're not going to be able to maximize your training session. So if that's the only case in which you can still do your cardio, then fine. But at least have like a Gatorade or some simple sugar, simple carbohydrate source so that you can hopefully limit the amount of glycogen that is being broken down and hopefully restore a little bit of those glycogen stores. Also, if you do prefer to do cardio before your training, ideally, like I said, separating that by a few hours and also getting in a couple carb-rich meals. So there are studies that show if you perform your aerobic training and then resistance training later, as long as you get a few meals with some carb-rich sources, you can restore those glycogen levels, leaving you in an optimal starting position for your resistance training session. Hopefully that helps answer the best time to do cardio. Again, it's always going to be after your resistance training, but if you are doing it before, separate it by a few hours, include some carb-rich meals. And if you have any questions about this topic, please comment them below. And if you aren't already, please be sure to follow me at Jaymes Longstom. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time.